If you have a WordPress website and getting poor ad revenue from ad networks like Ezoic, it might be because of poor user experience. If you want to know how to get this result when you are displaying Ezoic ads on your WordPress website, stay tuned and I'll show you how we can optimize WordPress to get the best possible user experience. I've got no paid plugins. So the first plugin we're going to be looking at is Asset Cleanup Speed Booster. Typically you can get better results with a paid version of the plugin, but it is not necessary. The second plugin that we're going to be looking at is W3 Cache. Once we have Asset Cleanup installed, we can go to settings. We can start off by site-wide offloads. Most of these options is not going to cause the website to break, but some would. I already know what's going to break the site and what won't break the site. I'm not going to go into depth with these options, but if there is an option that's going to cause you problem, I will definitely highlight that for you so you can place some more focus on that. On this particular page, we want to offload all the extra bloated code that's been installed on WordPress by standard. We don't need emojis. There's not going to be a video like YouTube embeds on the site, so I can remove this knowing it's safe. Also, dashboard toolbar is hidden. This option we're going to come back later when we do more file optimization, as I want to show you something important regarding this particular setting. Coming down to Grouten block CSS, if your site is not built with Grouten blocks, you can offload this. It is just one more file less for your website to load. And you can also see it is about 52 kilobits. It's not much, but if you have a lot of these files downloading on your site, it will make an impact in the end of the day. So we can keep this for this site, we can keep activated. jQuery, this is also important. If you disable jQuery, your site will definitely speed up, but in most cases it will break your site. So there is a particular setting that we can do in terms of Ezoic, and we can look into it just now. So in order for us to disable this jQuery safely, we have to go into Ezoic dashboard. And under the dashboard, we can go under script execution. And you'll see there's a jQuery loading method. What we are essentially doing is, if we say select changes, we are literally loading jQuery from the Ezoic CDN. This will lighten the load from our server and essentially make our website faster, but still keeping loaded in the front end to eliminate issues in regards to the website being broken. If we have this setting active, we can remove this. It's going to give us this query, but we are not concerned about it, as we know it is dangerous to disable it incorrectly. From here, we also have the option to remove the site-wide comments, and this we want to keep active. We can go ahead and update. Always when you do these settings, just check in the front end, but so far we haven't done big changes apart from jQuery, so there shouldn't be any problems on your site at this moment. Moving on to the next tab is HTML source code, and this is all WordPress features that's been installed when you do the basic WordPress install. The recommendations I'm providing is strictly for a website that is a blog and not a website that is like a branded website. We'll have a different approach with those kind of websites, especially when you do e-commerce. If you do not use Winter Live Writer, this is safe to disable. REST API. Are you accessing your content through endpoints? And it's now giving us an example, and in our case we are not accessing the site through endpoints. Are you using SEO friendly links? Do not need to default short links. If you have a post name active, permalink structure active, then it is safe to remove short links. The next one, remove post relationship links. I typically disable this option as well. Remove WordPress version. There's no reason to display this in the front end. This will only cause a security issue if left on your website. Remove all generator meta tags is also a good idea to remove. It will not break your site, but it will give you a little bit more security, meaning that if a hacker wants to come into your website and find information, they will typically go into view source code, and what we can do is just to verify that this code is actually displaying in the front end. So here you have all these meta tags, and it's giving us a meta tag telling the person that's looking at this meta tag exactly what WordPress we are using. For example, if your WordPress would be out of date, this would be the first place to notice where there's going to be a huge vulnerability, meaning if your software is out of date, you are now running a higher risk of getting hacked by skilled programmers. Strip all HTML comments. This is the comments that is made by developers once they develop your site. This is also safe to remove. This is only for humans to read, but it's not necessary for the site to work. Let's go, while we're dealing with security, let's go to disable XML. This is critical to disable on your site. This is one of the easiest way for hackers to get entry to your site. Disable this feature completely, and that will make your site a lot more secure. This is to do with SSH attacks, DOS attacks, so we can eliminate that by removing this, disabling this function. Disable RSS feed. So in my case, I'm not using any RSS feeds, so I'm disabling these settings. If these settings are disabled and we go into the source code, you'll notice that really simple discovery RSD is now grayed out, and that is because we already have these settings disabled. Now we are going to be spending some time on fonts. Fonts is extremely important to optimize. So most websites on WordPress is using fonts like Google Fonts, but if you have Google Fonts on your site, it will make your site a lot slower because it's blocking code from a third-party website. The solution is pretty simple. You've got two options. The first option would be to come into the plugin, go to Google Fonts, remove all, and we can disable Google Fonts. What will happen now is that the website will load system fonts instead of Google Fonts, and this will speed up your site tremendously. So let's put this in context. If you are a user and you see this pretty plain blog website, it is good in the sense that the user can navigate it easy, the content that they are actually looking for is readily available, and the site is fast. If you don't want to completely remove your fonts and display system fonts, the only alternative is to display these fonts locally. I can quickly run through the process in how we would do these fonts locally. So let's just quickly update this, and I'm going to go to my theme that I'm using, and this is important. The theme that you're using will have a huge impact in how you manage your website. So for this website, we are using GeneratePress, Google Font Helper. So from here, we can, let's say we want to get a particular font. We're going to be picking what fonts do we want to load locally. Pick the regular, 500, 900, 800, 700. These ones are the most important. Here is the code that we need to install in WordPress in order for us to display the fonts. But in order for the fonts to work, there's still a couple of more steps we need to complete. So let's go into WordPress itself again. File Manager. It doesn't matter which file manager you have on your site, just pick one that you are comfortable with. From here we can go to VP Content. We're looking for a folder that we can use to place our new fonts in, and the best place would be in Upload folder. And here you can see there's actually a folder called Fonts. You can just, if you don't have the folder on your site, just go create new folder. Once this folder is created, we can go inside and we go back to the website. It's giving us this option. Download the zip files. Zip, we're gonna extract. Now we have got the folder, we can go back into, let's just check this files out. Alright, so this is our folder, we can go back to downloads, we now have our folder, we simply come and upload this entire folder as is. Find the path to these particular files. We can simply right click, get info. Right click, copy link address. Let's look and to see how this link actually displays. Simply copy the folder path, come back into our fonts website, place that whole path in here. Just make sure if you do make a mistake on this part of the fonts, then it will not work. So you need to be careful with this particular part. Once we added our file path, the code on top is now completed, and we can copy this entire code, go back into WordPress, and then activate the code. The easiest way to post a code, get a plugin like Code Snippets, add, new code snippet, simply paste the code in here. The reason why we're getting these errors is because the file that we are using is not correct for the code. So we need to update the actual file, and we can simply come here to HTML snippet, click, select CSS snippet. Once selected, we can go ahead and say active. The rest of the settings is not important. Save it. So in order for us to complete the font display in the front end, there's one more step we need to do. We come to the code snippet, look under family font name, which is outfit, simply copy that name, go to customizer, typography, click add font, paste the name of the font and publish. Now the font is ready to be displayed on the website. And in order for us to quickly test this, we're going to go to heading tags, select the font, and here the font now displays outfit, publish, and front end. Refresh, and there you see the font basically updated. We can quickly just verify that the font is displaying correctly. Here is a CSS tool that is now verifying that we are displaying outfit font on the WordPress site. So now we can safely remove Google Fonts and update. To verify the impact of the current settings so far, let's go to incognito mode, Google Insights. The new speed metrics after we configured asset cleanup, and we have shaved down around about a second of the total download time from mobile. Now we can move on to the next part of the optimization, and that is W3 cache. You might have heard that doing caching on WordPress when connected to Ezoic is a big no-no, but that is only when you do browser caching, and for this optimization we are going to be focusing more on back-end file optimization, and I'm going to quickly run a test with you to just clarify what I mean by this. Once we have W3 cache installed, we can go to setup guide. And what we're going to be doing here is just simply test the server to make sure that the server is in fact equipped to be optimized. Select next, test page cache, and now it's going to give us all the configurations that's available on the server. So what we are looking at is the server that we are using has got the basic features already installed. What we are concerned mainly about is Redis and APC cache, which is a different name for op cache. Op cache is critical to get your website into a decent speed, and the only way to get these settings active is typically to have some sort of Linux server administrator skills. If you do not have the skills to activate these settings by your own, then it is best to use a hosting company that will already have this done for you. TunnelGuard, they are lightning fast, good security, and I get the best possible results, especially when I integrate Ezoic, since they are configured to accommodate Ezoic and WordPress. Redis is a database infrastructure which will allow you to serve data just much more quicker than a normal method. Redis and Memcache are typically the same kind of software, even though they work on different methods. If you have both these two installed, always select Redis. Redis will outperform Memcache every day of the week. The second configuration is the opcache version. Go into the actual settings of the plugin and just look at how we could configure this. So basically only two settings that we are concerned about. Move down to opcache and we'll see that opcache has been active, and this is also one of the reasons why the website was from the beginning so responsive, because we already have opcache installed. Coming down to database caching, we can select enable, and here we want to select Redis. The second one is object cache, enable, and again we're going to select Redis. Now that we configured all the database caching, we can quickly go and do another speed test. The new speed test has considerably improved, but the biggest improvement you will notice in the front end when you navigate the site. So let's go into the front end and just look at the responsiveness. So the idea behind the database optimization will be, even if you don't see a considerable impact on the metrics itself, you will notice that the website will be a lot more responsive. When you click on pages, it opens immediately. There's no waiting time or loading time. And this is the most where you will be gaining the most traction in terms of user experience. So our main focus is not the actual metrics. The metrics is only giving us an indication that we are on the right path and what we are doing, but we are mainly focused on the responsiveness for the user. If you found value in this tutorial, please like and subscribe. Any questions, send me a message down in the comment box and I'll be happy to help.